Okay, glad to know you're still there. If you're just joining in, this is the midweek edition of Rapid Sport, and I am Ijoma Victor. Hopefully our guest will be joining us very soon. But while we're waiting for him to come through, let's head straight to the camp. Two of the Super Eagles. Okay, he is already around. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Victor. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm okay. It's good to have you on the show this evening, Jeremy. And how is Lagos?
Yes. Lagos is fine. Lagos is all right, definitely. And how is Abuja, though?
Well, Abuja is hot, very hot, close to the sun, but not too close.
Yeah, I can see you're nearly sweating on that AC, but it's okay.
Okay, let's go straight to the camp of the Super Eagles, and this will be the first official match for the Super Eagles after the AFCON in Morocco, where we clinch a bronze medal. Well, in as much as many are expecting the verdict to still come from the Court of Arbitration for Sport, talking about CAS, that is if the NFF truly appealed that particular one coming from FIFA. But let's look at Nigeria taking on Iran and Jordan, especially the new players that are invited to camp. Yes, also we'll be missing some key players. Osimhen had a surgery and he's getting better now. And Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali, also when we look at him, he's not available. Maduka Okoye stepping in for him. But let's look at other players like a forward there in the person of Collins Uraso from Genk. Let's look at some of these new players.
Yeah, of course, for some of the new players coming in, definitely this would be a different level of challenge to them, because right now we're not seeing them go represent the country at the highest level. Definitely, this is a friendly, and we of course know that we are not going to expect the qualities of Victor Osimhen from these type of players right now. We're not going to also expect the performance of Osimhen right now also. So I'll just say that for new players coming in, I think this is even the best time for them to come in, because playing against Iran and Jordan, you look at these two sides, these sides are lower on rankings than the Super Eagles, of course, because we currently sit 26th in the world, and last I checked, I remember Jordan was ranked 64th. So will these new players be able to fill up the boots of the main guys? Well, definitely, yes, because I look at the system right now, I can see that we still have Iwobi in the team. There's Iwobi in the team. I know that minutes ago, I saw a report about Paul Onuachu being cancelling his Super Eagles call to stay in Trabzonspor, but when the list was released, I still saw Onuachu on the list. I saw a lot of the players on the list, Chukwueze, Akko Adams. And I think with the mix of old and new players, I think the Super Eagles can really, really thrive in these two fixtures. Of course, these are friendly fixtures. These are just test fixtures. Of course, these are not World Cup level tournaments. These are just, come and show yourself, come and present yourself to, Nigerians. Let us know you. These are the type of fixtures that I see, or that's how I categorize this type of fixtures. Let's see what you can do before trying you on the bigger stage. So for some of the new players coming in, and for the number 9 from Genk, I think this is a very real opportunity, because we of course do know that the quality of football being played in Belgium, especially teams like Genk, you can't expect super top-notch performances from such players, because of course we saw Tolu Arokodare when he was also in the Belgian league, and we saw how his performances were compared to now where he plays in the League of Champions, talking about the Premier League. And we can see the difference in his level of performances. Of course, some will make claims, say that, okay, Arokodare was getting called to the national team more often before coming to Wolves, or before moving to Wolves. But, as his performances improved, is he a far better striker now? Well, definitely.
Okay, it's good you said it's for the boys to come, show themselves and say they are ready for the bigger stage. But for Iran and Jordan, they are going to the World Cup. It's a platform for them to also prepare tactically and technically as they head to the World Cup in the summer.
Yes. Well, yeah, of course, this is a very, very good opportunity for them to try themselves, because they are not just trying themselves against any opposition. We're talking about the Super Eagles here, who are slowly and gradually regaining their identity, because whether we like it or not, we know that we Nigerians like to live on the the things we've done in the older days, old glory and stuff like that. But if we look at what Eric Shell is currently doing with these boys, we saw how rejuvenated the Super Eagles team has become, and how more, how more defensively astute, rugged, and dogged this team is at the AFCON. And we also saw free-flowing football from the side. I think I remember the game against Mozambique. I remember the game, even against Morocco, where we lost abysmally, because I would say abysmally because we didn't lose in the right way. We lost due to
penalties.
a lot of politics. Yeah, exactly. We are talking about the penalties, but we lost due to politics first before even the penalties, because if the game was officiated properly, we should have won that game. But we wouldn't even have needed to go to penalties. But, it is what it is. And we've seen the result of that AFCON right now, as we can all still see what's currently.
Well, I guess maybe he was still...
Okay. A true test of readiness for them. And playing against Super Eagles, I feel playing against Super Eagles right now is a much bigger test for them, because now this just shows how prepared they are. Because we are not going to the World Cup, and I do know that we have more quality than Iran and Jordan.
Sure.
So this is a very big test for them than even us.
Okay, now you're saying that we might not go to the World Cup. Many has actually ruled out that we are not going to the World Cup because the playoffs will kickstart tomorrow in Mexico, and the NFF. But if they've appealed, or that particular verdict came from FIFA, first of all, there was a delay in that verdict. We don't know why they took. If Nigeria actually knew, or probably FIFA knew that the process in which they applied was faulty, why stay that long? To come out and tell, okay, you guys, you're applying this late, this what happened, but they still kept it, and they waited so close to the playoffs in Mexico, and now the NFF have really, appealed that particular. But do you think anything will come out of this, knowing fully well that the tournament is just a matter of hours from now?
Well, being honest, no, because I feel that CAF currently they have a bigger fish to fry, and FIFA also are also much invested and interested in what's currently going on between Morocco and Senegal than even Nigeria, because our case has been up before, even before. I think our case has been up way before the AFCON was the first ball at the AFCON was kicked. But yet they have decided not to, pay attention to what's currently going on with us. How we have been, cheated, where a player was used, and where a player who was not supposed to be used was used. All of these things, we've seen it happen in football before. I've seen it happen with Real Madrid and Real Madrid in, the Copa del Rey, where they had Dennis Sharif, play a game that was not supposed to play under Rafael Benitez. And, Real Madrid were awarded a scoring of 3-0 in defeat, And I feel this was supposed to be the same type of pattern or the same type of, move that should have been taken by CAF and FIFA. But like we know, it's not, there's always two sides to a coin, and sometimes the two sides of the coin might not favor you. So I'm looking at what's currently going on, looking at how they have taken their time not to pay attention to what's going on with us. I don't see us going to the World Cup right now. I would say we can all just, stay hopeful for the next few years. But right now, I don't think Nigeria will go to the World Cup.
Okay, you talked about the bigger fish in the frying pan in the domain of CAS. And I was talking about the Morocco and Senegal, trouble, if I'll use that word. Now, Morocco, probably Senegal, just appealed to CAS less than 24 hours ago, after CAS came out to say we've not received anything from Senegal. That means the drama is still on. Let's share your thoughts on really what's happening. Are you okay with that judgment from the appeals committee of CAF, and at the same time it's now becoming bigger? The drama is now being expanded from scene 1 to scene 2 with Senegal, throwing in that appeal to CAS.
Honestly, I would not say I am okay with it or I'm not okay. Well, if we are going to go by articles, which they did, saying that according to Article 84, that when you walk off the pitch, it is automatic forfeiture. But I would have understood it if they did it way before when they decided to pass their judgment. Now, we've seen situations in football where a referee decides to give more than the needed added time in a game and when the other team wins, they call it cheating. And this time around, I would say that this was the same rule applied, because when you look at what happened, they had more than a month, 2 months to make this decision, and they decided to make it going into the third month. I'm telling you that no nation will be satisfied with this. We're looking at Nigeria right now, and we all know that in Nigeria, if this were to happen to us, none of us are going to accept it. You know, I feel like Senegal are dragging it the way they should, because as far as everyone is concerned, everyone who watched the AFCON tournament, Senegal won the AFCON on the pitch. So trying to go by the rule book to award Morocco the title right now is basically a breach of trust, in my own opinion, because they've breached their trust to African football. They've breached their trust to Senegal. They've also, made the tournament look less, it's not more, it doesn't carry the same weight it used to carry anymore. Because if you are going to come, yes, exactly. If you are going to come up with such a decision, then that means they've watered down the AFCON. And they are telling us that they can choose who is champion regardless of what the scoreline on the field of play is. And whereas normally, like we have always known, the referee's decision is always final in cases like this. But right now, they have decided not to acknowledge the referee's decision.
Well, indeed, hopefully, in a matter of weeks, we'll be hearing from CAF the final verdict. And truly, let's see how it goes, because this is really not good for African football. It is not good for the image of Africa as a whole when it comes to the African Cup of Nations. Okay, away from that, there's something really we want to talk about, that is basketball. Now, we shared this, off the camera, and now we are talking about it again, talking about the issues happening in basketball. I would love to hear your thoughts, especially with the final communication or public communique coming from FIBA. What would you say of that to the Nigerian Basketball Federation?
Well, I saw a comment from Ayodele Bakare, owner of Ebon Comets, and he was being very critical of the Musa Kida-led administration, saying that they are an expired body and they have chosen to remain in office beyond their time. And I look at what FIBA has done. I feel like what FIBA is doing is they are trying to do what you call damage control, because they feel like Nigeria are going to the World Cup right now. You know, this is not the time where you want to start talking about a shift in power. You want to, start doing elections. I feel like this is the right time where you allow everything go according to how it is and hold your elections later. Because if the election has been held at the time when it was supposed to be held, we would not be having this conversation. Because, of course, the Musa Kida's led administration they were supposed to finish their tenure at, that was January 31st this year. So, and until now, there has been no election. And now we're talking about, these guys being in position of power till the World Cup. I feel like FIBA did what they feel is best. And I feel like most organizations will do the same thing too. Because you're not, and they also talked about how it's not going to affect, they talked about how leaving the Musa Kida-led administration in power right now would help Nigeria's basketball not to look more ridiculed than how it looks sometimes. Because when you look at some of the things that happens, off the court, some of the dragons here and there, it only waters down, our achievements and our position in terms of and also our credibility also in the sport. So I feel like what FIBA did is they tried to help us to adjust our identity so we don't lose it completely. And I feel like from what Ayodele Bakare was saying also, owner of Ebu Kobet, I feel like he was talking from a place of concern, because if we are being honest, when you are, under such a body, or when something like that affects you directly, it's okay that you speak up with emotions. Yes. But I feel like FIBA decided to handle this, they decided to handle this without emotions, they decided to handle this, discreetly, and they did it in the best way possible.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll be waiting for the month of October because that is when the election has been sanctioned by FIBA, and let's see, because I think this should be the last tenure of Kida. Hopefully he will exit because he has been there for a very, very long time, and if not mistaken, we always have two factions of leadership of the Nigerian football, probably not Nigerian basketball federation. But let's see how it goes in the month of October when the election will go down. Now let's head straight to England. There are so many things I would love us to touch in England, but let's look at Mo Salah's, saying he's going to leave Liverpool at the end of the month. To me, if you're going to leave at the end of the month with a year left in your contract, as if you are forced to, you're being told, come, you need to leave, you need to come out and make a statement. That was well prepared. This is my own opinion of what I saw, but let's share your thoughts on Mohamed Salah's, coming out to say he's going to leave at the end of the season.
Well, I feel like for Mohamed Salah, he decided to do the right thing, because if we talk about form right now, Mohamed Salah is not the most informed winger in the world. But let's talk about achievements. Mohamed Salah for Liverpool, I would say that 9 years feels like it's flew and went so easily, because when you try to remember when Mohamed Salah joined Liverpool, before Mohamed Salah, they were not this successful, especially in the Premier League, because I know how long Liverpool tried to win major tournaments like the Premier League. It took them about 30 years. Winning the Champions League again since their massive success against AC Milan against AC Milan at Istanbul. A lot of they had a lot of trial and errors, and Liverpool were even fading off at that point. They were becoming a fading force. But the moment Mohamed Salah joined, I think everything changed, and right now he lives and bows out as a legend, because I look at all the things Mohamed Salah has achieved, about 255 goals in 435 appearances alongside 122 assists. That's a lot. And when you also consider the fact that he is not just anybody, he's an household name in England right now.
Yeah.
And haven't won the PFA Player of the Year about three times. Won the Golden Boot 4 times. Won the Playmaker Award about 2 times. Guided Liverpool to winning the EFL Cup about 3 times, the FA Cup once, and right now Liverpool are currently the defending champions of the Premier League. And when you also remember the fact that in the beginning, when Salah joined, and he had that spectacular season where he scored 44 goals and 32 in the Premier League, breaking the Premier League record, a lot of talks were said about Mohamed Salah being a one-season wonder. And right now, 9 years after, he has earned a legendary status. And I think that for Liverpool, the way they have decided to part ways is a bit of a shock, because Salah still had a year left on his contract. And like most players and clubs would do, they would always honor the contract. But looking at what is going on right now, I think it's the best decision for both parties, because when you look at how, they have decided to settle things, with a very amicable gentleman's agreement, well, that is even more shocking than Salah just saying he's going to leave, because you would have expected that Salah would put up a fight when it comes to leaving Liverpool. But looking at how it happened, I would say that it's probably the best for both parties. And the big question many people are asking now is, who is going to be his replacement? That's another question that, a lot of people are asking. But I'll just say that for Mohamed Salah leaving Liverpool right now, I think this is the best time to go. This is the best time to go. And like I always say in football, always know when to leave.
Yes, always know where to live. Now, you said the big question will be his replacement. But my own question is, where will his destination be?
Well, right now, I saw a lot of... No, to be honest, that's also on that big question, because many want to know, when you are at this age in football, it's time to cash out all the money that you've not cashed out in your entire life. This is the right time to cash out. Is it that you go to the Saudi League, or you go to, the USA, you go somewhere to go and make big money. Just like yesterday, we saw Antoine Griezmann seal his deal to Orlando in the USA in the MLS League. And, this is the time to cash out. So, but for Mohamed Salah, we don't really know how passionate he is about football anymore. Does he still have the hunger in him to, want to try himself out at a big club? Or does he want to go to the Saudi League? That's where everybody's confused. But from what I think and know, the Mohamed Salah that I've seen, defy the odds and logic over the years, I think he's definitely going to still want to try himself at a big club. And whichever club he goes to might shock everybody. But my best guess would be that if he is not going to stay in Premier League, he's going to move to Spain. And if he's going to Spain, it might be Atletico Madrid. And although I've been seeing a lot of content creators calling for him to join Real Madrid because of Rodrigo's current injury, but it's still going to be at the end of the season. So let's still look at what happens in the next 3-4 months.
Okay, let's see what happens.
My best guess is Atletico.
Oh, Atletico. Well, just like you said, it's time for him to cash out. Hopefully, we'll be looking at the money-making venture either in Saudi Arabia or in the United States. Well, like you said, let's see how it pans out in the next 2-3 months. Now, still with England, the Carabao Cup final, was played over the weekend, and now everyone expecting Arsenal to go for the quadruple. One is now out. It will now be 3. Pep Guardiola, as a master, know how to play his chess, got the Carling Cup. What happened to Arsenal that day? Because to me, it's a different Arsenal that I saw. What happened? And at the same time, do you think Arsenal can still go for all 3, or they can just grab 2, or better still, run away with 1?
Okay, I would say that both master and protege are overthinkers. They are well-known overthinkers. And we've seen Pep Guardiola in a Champions League final against Chelsea when Kai Havertz, won it for Chelsea, decide to start a Raheem Sterling that he had not used for the most part of the season, right? In the Champions League final. So, and Mikel Arteta this time around started Kepa, knowing fully well that, yes, David Raya is his best bet, and David Raya would have done a much better job. And they are playing against Manchester City. Of course, Kepa deserves his respect. He's a Champions League winner. He has proven himself in Athletic Bilbao. He's proven himself in Chelsea. He has proven himself even in Real Madrid, winning the Champions League with them in 2024. So if we look at, Kepa's experience, years of experience in the game, he's not a small goalkeeper, truth be told. But we have a David Raya who is making Superman-type saves almost every week. Like, when he makes an error, it's visible to the eye. So I think Mikel Arteta got it wrong in terms of formation and tactics, and that really cost Arsenal because I think on that thing that also affected them was Eberechi's unplanned injury, because that one already also rocked them. Because if you look at the game, you'll see that, especially in the first half, while Declan Rice and a few others were trying to move the midfield a little, you could tell that there was no real camaraderie. There was a little bit of disequilibrium, and the midfield was just out of shape. And when they started the second half, they decided to start differently. In fact, I felt like Arsenal decided to start the second half the same way Newcastle started the second half against Barcelona. They just played ambitionless football. And at the end of the day, the pressure increased. And when Raya got the chance to swing in that ball and Kepa fumbled it, it was only right that Nick O'Reilly got the goal. So I would say that also for winning the title, I think Arsenal can win the Premier League title right now, and they can also bottle it. Because as it stands right now, everything is in Mikel Arteta and Arsenal's hands. Because when you look at where they currently are, they are 9 points ahead of Manchester City, and Manchester City still has a game in hand. They play Manchester City at the Etihad, I think, on April 4. So it's just like Arsenal having their own destiny and deciding their fate. So
yes,
I just feel like, as it stands right now, I don't know if they can win all 3, but I'm very sure that they will win the Premier League, because when you look at the Champions League, Real Madrid have found themselves again. And when you look at the FA Cup, Manchester City are still there. So it's a very tough ask. I just feel like no matter how bad the season is for Arsenal, they should at least still lay their hands on the Premier League, because that seems like their best bet right now. And that is even a much more precious title to the Arsenal fans than even the Champions League.
Okay, now
it's the truth.
Yeah, we're talking about Eberechi. Reports coming in that he has been sidelined for a month. Is that really a good one for the Gunners? Ahead of the remaining games in the season.
Well, that's very bad. Looking at the fact that I think at some point in the season it was called scoring against Tottenham wonder, but right now we look at his influence and impact on the team. I think he was starting to gel better with the team, and looking at the time when he has injured himself, it is a very bad one for Mikel Arteta, because as it is right now, I don't think Mikel Arteta has any attacking midfielder right now. I'm talking about a number 10. Yes, because you can say Max Dalman can play that role. He can play as a winger. We saw Arteta try Saka in that position against Manchester City, and it failed horribly. So I would say it's a bad one for Arsenal right now, a very bad one, because even the reports coming out was about 4 to 6 weeks, which even means it might even exceed a month. Martin Odegaard is currently injured. Kai Havertz, we saw the terrible game he had against Manchester City. You know, a lot of things are going wrong for Arsenal right now. But I think with how everything is right now, Iberichi Eze's absence would be greatly felt, and it could either make or mar Arteta's season. And this is where Mikel Arteta's, you know, mental fortitude would, you know, be shown. This is where his tactical know-how will come in, because it's either you make the best out of the situation or you make excuses for the situation.
But the truth be told, many were expecting these injuries to come late December and early January. That is how it has always been, looking at the circle of you know, the league. But unfortunately, or probably fortunately for us now, it is coming now towards the end of the season, because many had expected that by the start of the year, before the winter transfer window, we'll see Arsenal really struggling for 1 or 2 players to replace. But Arsenal still held on to their own until this very moment. Is this truly a bad omen for Arsenal, or probably a good omen, if I would say so?
Bad omen in the sense that they're having injuries now when they can't replace anybody. Good omen in the sense that despite all the injuries, they still have players that they can field, that will still make their... They still have a strong squad that they can field, even though they lack that creative cog, you know? They lack that, should I say, a Mio Latorre protagonist. I'm talking about like an improver, you know, somebody with that visual acuity to see things that are far beyond normal on the pitch. They need someone like that. They are going to lack that. But I would still say it's also a good omen in the sense that this is the perfect opportunity for those players who have been vying for that position in that team to try themselves out and get themselves a grade. Because now, Donny Madueke has been used on the right, he has been used on the left. If Mikel Arteta says, I want to play you as a 10, this is the perfect opportunity for him to show that he is a full-time team player than just a me player. So whoever Mikel Arteta decides to play in that position has to step up. Of course, we've seen Kai Havertz, he can have good games, he can have bad games. And like they always say, you're as good as your last game. And the last game is giving a lot of people a lot of headaches right now, because I don't think there are many Arsenal fans that slept well in the world. Because I saw a lot of my Arsenal friends, and I tell you, it's only God's grace that has kept them alive to this moment. You know, so but I'll say that this is like the best time for Mikel Arteta and you know, the boys to show they should show themselves that okay, they can really do something, that when all the chips are down, they are not going to make excuses. This is the perfect time for them to do that.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, report also coming in that Super Eagles defender Calvin Bassey has been ruled out of the friendly due to a back injury. Well, even Fulham will not even allow him to go, because they are also looking and pushing for a place in European sport for next season. So will this also be a big blow for the Super Eagles in Turkey? Or will this also be an opportunity for other invited players to also make their mark in the Super Eagles team?
Of course, it's the running. Once the Premier League resumes now, is the Premier League running. And every team wants to win something or qualify for something that will earn them more money. Of course, if Fulham advances to Europe, they know how much they would make. The central defenders in the league. So and they know clearly that this friendly would yield nothing for Nigeria right now. Nothing. If anything, we are doing Iran. If anything, we are doing Iran and Jordan a favor. So why risk Calvin Bassey's fitness for friendlies that could affect Fulham's whole season? So I think it's a smart one for Fulham, and for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, this will not affect anything. Trust me. We're playing Iran and Jordan. I want us to remember that these sides, they are not on our level at any single, you know, they are not on our level at all. They should never even be put in the same bracket with Nigeria. I'm telling you. And I'm not saying it to, you know, to downplay the progress that Jordan and Iran have made, because qualifying for the World Cup is a massive achievement. But I'm just saying it that with the current crop of players that are going to be available right now, even without Victor Osimhen, Calvin Bassey, I don't know if the reports of Bonuachu also being also
Onuachu is in camp.
Okay. Now that means that the report was false. So now, with all of the guys we currently have, Onuachu is currently firing in goals in Turkey, and as of last time I checked, he is maybe even the top scorer in the league.
Top scorer in the league, yes.
You look at all of these things. Exactly. So you look at all of the players we have right now in our setup, because Onuachu has been scoring week in, week out, and even Victor Osimhen don't even have his numbers this season. So we have enough firepower to take down Jordan and Iran. I think bringing in Victor Osimhen to this type of setup of Calvin Bassey is just like, we are downplaying their qualities, But also, I feel like with Akko Adams, Onuachu, Samuel Chukwueze, who Fulham are even on the verge of making this deal permanent, all these guys are enough firepower for the Super Eagles against Iran and Jordan. That's what I feel.
Thank you so much. And this is where we'll just have to, call it a close this evening. It has been an exciting one year analyzing the Super Eagles and also looking at what's happening with CAF. Jeremy, hope you'll be available when we call upon you, to do this analysis for more conversations.
All right, definitely. I'll try my best to be.
Truly appreciate you. And say me hi to everyone in Lagos there.
All right, thank you very much. Do the same for me in Abuja. Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Okay, truly appreciate everyone that has been a part of the show this evening, trying to look at everything from the world of sport, basketball, especially with what's happening with the NBBF and also FIBA stepping in and also giving analysis and update what's coming up in the camp of the Super Eagles. 21 players are already in camp. Calvin Bassey will not part of that game. Victor Osimhen, not part of that game. Also, we have the likes of Stanley Nwabali. Yes, Chief Stanley Nwabali also will not be part of that game. What's his name again? Maduka Okoye stepping in for Stanley Nwabali. But would there be a replacement for Calvin Bassey? Well, we are yet to confirm that one. Hopefully, we get across to the media officer, Foge, who will be able to give us all the latest in the camp of the Super Eagles. Truly appreciate you joining me live again, 8:30 a.m. on Thursday on the Breakfast Show for more sport highlight. Yes, rapid sport highlight, as we give you all the latest coming from the world of sport. I still remain a Choma Victor. Do have yourself a beautiful evening.